And since you had mentioned earlier that evolution is a religion, I know there's a lot of different opinions as to when evolution was invented. How long do you believe that evolution has been around for, Dr. Grady?
Well, you're absolutely right. There are many people who think it only started with Darwin, which is a total fallacy. I mean, he published in 1859, but his father and his grandfather were evolutionists before that. There were French evolutionists such as Diderot, Montesquieu, and so forth in the 1700s. But the fact of the matter is that the evolutionary philosophy, not the detail, but the evolutionary philosophy goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. I mean, think about it for a second. 2,000 years ago, the Apostle Paul and the Apostle Peter, in three books of the New Testament, were writing about the scientific aspects of creation versus evolution because they were dealing with the Greek and the Roman and the Egyptian evolutionists of their day. When Paul is affronted in Athens, he's accosted by the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers, but they're the only two mentioned, while in fact there were many, many others. There were 1,000 different Greek philosophies, but they all believed in evolution. And we can go back and we can trace evolutionary concepts in Greek philosophy back to about 25 to 2,600 years ago. People like Anaximander, for instance. But think with me for just a moment. If we go in the Bible back to the book of Judges, and that's 3,000 to 3,400 years ago, twice in the book of Judges it says when they had no one to rule over them, each person did what was right in their own eyes or sight. Now that's an evolutionary construct saying that there is no God, there's no lawgiver, and again that there are no laws, rules, roles, or standards of conduct, no purpose to life. And if we go all the way back to the Garden of Eden, what was the first deception of Satan? The first deception of Satan was, here, eat this candy bar. The first deception of Satan was, has God said? And then he places doubt into the minds of Adam and Eve, and they start thinking about it, and they misconstrue this whole thing, and they start what is called, or initiated what is called, human autonomy. Now, God affronts them in the garden about this as well, and he says, I told you what to do, and were you listening to somebody else? And they have to say, yes, we were. And God judges them for that. But Satan's first tool in the Garden of Eden was an evolutionary philosophical tool. Has God said? Oh, no. You can't trust him. He doesn't really exist. He's a fragment of your imagination. And you don't need to be paying any attention to him. You can do whatever you want if you'll listen to me. And so the philosophical aspects of evolution go all the way back to the Garden of Eden.